Hatred over intellect.
TYT covered a story of a Trump policy dating back to November of 2018. And this policy was brought forth by someone from the Pentagon who leaked it to someone that works with TYT. They want to remain anonymous. Now, I'm going to show the footage that they're talking about, but here's the thing. TYT, they are heavily political. Politics, they got that down. But there's certain things that slip through the cracks. So when they talk about politics, honestly, I'm knowing maybe 10, 20% of what they're talking about. It's just when it comes to hearing certain policy and certain things like that, I pick up on that quick. Certain policies. Now, I ain't talking about the legalese of the policy, just straightforward certain policies. If someone says we want, everyone to be able to treat it by medical facilities and not be blocked by insurance or lack of money, I'm like, well, yeah, that's a good thing. Anything, that's negative to that, I'm against. I think everyone should be able to be seen. People here live a comfortable life. All right. No one's going to, when I say comfortable, no one here is trying to leave the country to go somewhere else because they want to live. Not live to just live your life. No, because they don't want to die. So people that are south of our border, not south of the border, but people who are south of our border, some live in absolute terror and they want to leave so they don't die. So they come north to us first. Sometimes they try to go straight to Canada, but they can't get that far. So they just set up shop here. And that, plus America builds itself, the United States of America builds itself as the golden apple on the top of the tree. You don't get any better, shinier, tastier than us. So when people come here because of our advertisement, we want to then shoo them away. You don't advertise what you don't want to give away. You understand that? That's just rational. That's logical. If you don't want someone to steal your guns, you don't advertise your guns. If you don't want someone to steal the $100,000 in your house sitting on the bookshelf up under your father's urn or something like that, you don't put it on YouTube and advertise it and then tell where you live. There's just certain things. What TYT missed, and that's one thing of what comparative reasoning does, I or anyone else that will consider themselves comparative reasoning joining me in this movement for decency and clearing the fog and talking about any and everything, try to catch those little things that they don't catch or feel that it's not important enough to cover. Donald Trump in this speech expressed himself as knowing better but not acting accordingly. And that, for anyone that's listened to me, they know that is my definition of being stupid. When you know better but do not act accordingly. Now that doesn't mean you know something and you try to get it done but it can't work out. No, I mean you know not to throw a rock into somebody's head. Therefore, you don't do it. But if you do it because you feel like it, you dumb. You know better and you didn't act better. You know to study for a test, but you choose not to. That's dumb. You know that if you are on punishment not to watch TV or whatever the punishment is, you know what not to do, but you go ahead and do it anyway. You spark a fight in school, but you knew you shouldn't have said what you said or did what you did in the first place. You see, there's a pattern here. So I'm going to get with this. I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to give my commentary on what they missed. I'm going to clip it because I don't want to go through the whole thing. I'll put the link to the video that they're talking about that show the whole thing down below. But remember, this is from last year, November 1st. That in the documents where it was, a policy made in February of this year, 2019. And that's why November 1st of 2018 was relevant, because that was the thing that pushed in the February policy, and it finally got leaked, to TYT. So Here goes.
Anybody throwing stones, rocks, like they did to Mexico and the Mexican military, Mexican police, where they badly hurt police and soldiers of Mexico, we will consider that a firearm. Because there's not much difference when you get hit in the face with a rock, which, as you know, it was very violent a few days ago, very, very violent.
So the issue is, one, he tries to, the first thing he does is attempt the justification. That's just human nature, it seems right now. Or maybe it's something we become hardwired to do. Justify anything bad we want to do. Or we might do something good for the wrong reasons and try to justify it. You know, with the, well, what about this? Or, well, you did that. Or, well, they did this, so I had to, you know, certain things. Now, I'm not blanking and saying it's 100%. No, not everyone has bad justification and whatnot, or always do the good thing for the wrong reason. It's not always. There are too many cases where they do the good things and it's justifiable for positive, justifiable reasons. There are things like that. You know, consequences are that's just the blanket term, consequence. They can be good, they can be bad. And I can explain things, I can give examples, I can do that, but Donald Trump doesn't. Now, to say, okay, they attacked the Mexican police and stuff like that, in all honesty, you think about that, you know, he's upset with the Mexicans that are trying to come into the United States, citing that they have committed violence against the Mexican military, Mexican police officers and whatnot. So we have to, you know, use lethal force. Just think about that. And he didn't do well for that. Now, for his base, he did well because they just hate people south of the border anyway. They just, you know, well, south of our border. I got to, you know, hey, I bathe in the whole rhetoric of the U.S. and stuff, you know. So I'm trying to de-bathe myself of this, wash myself clean, clear the fog out of my eyes, get the wax out of my ears, and be better. So I'm going to slip up often, but I'm going to strive to always be better. Not being PC, just be better. So that said, Trump then goes into the whole, literally now, just, we're going to consider throwing a rock or anything like that a firearm. You know, maybe he doesn't understand what a firearm is. You know, a slingshot would be a firearm. Anything that can cause mass damage, that can be shot from your hands, you know, that would be a firearm. It's not just a gun, a slingshot, bow and arrow, crossbow. Anything that can be used. Now, throwing a rock, the rock turns into a projectile, but the rock itself is not a projectile. It's just sitting there, you know, no kinetic energy, no inertia. It just sits there. Okay, it's just a rock. It's not a projectile. Once you throw it, it's a projectile. The bullet becomes a projectile. The arrow becomes the projectile. The firing mechanisms / firing arm of that would be the bow, the gun. You know, your hand, not a firing arm. You can't just put your hand down and leave it. Firing arms are things you can pick up. And considering throwing a rock, a firearm, was first dumb. Then he tries to justify it. Now this is when you start. This is when he can expose the business to those that are looking. You know, mostly people just listen and really don't even do that. They take in the words. They're planted like seeds. They take in the words, nod their heads or shake their head and be like, "This is some dumb stuff," or nod their head like, "Uh-huh," but not necessarily listening. They hear it, but they're not listening. So later, those words are there. You have heard them, and they will seep into some part. Now, how they germinate that's its own thing, you know. How they begin to grow and all this other stuff, that's its own thing. However, you know, the virus or bacterium of it goes to your brain, That's up to you. You control that. You hear it repeated in your head like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? They did come up here. You know, he says they come. Wait a minute. He says it, but is it true? You know, because in this clip he talked about a caravan, which does not exist. And if it is, it's small, and it doesn't matter, because if anyone's throwing rocks and stuff at the police, here's some justification. If they're throwing rocks at the police here, you know why? Maybe because they watch YouTube. Maybe because they watch the news, and they're trying to leave home, but they're going to still be try to be informed, and they probably hearing about how their children are being raped and broken from families and stuff. And they probably want to get over here and try to keep the family together. And, just think about the border of Mexico and the United States. That's guarded. So now they got to find different ways. This is the world that has been created through natural and unnatural hatred. All right? However you got there, you're there. And if you hate people from Mexico and Brazil, Central America, Chile, if you hate them and for no reason, because no one's from there has ever bothered me, no one there's, no one's there called me the N-word or the S-word. No one there's done that. But people here in the United States of America, they've done it. Now, Trump, when he tried to compare it to the firearm, where did he also fail? He had to pause. He just, and because, we throw a rock, you throw a rock at someone's head, and he couldn't compare it to a gunshot. He just couldn't. You throw a rock at somebody's head from a distance, most likely you'll leave them a bruise, you might give them a cut. You could concuss them, with enough force at the right height, fall of the rock and distance, velocity, you could crack their skull. Note the words could. You fire a gun at somebody's head, 90% or higher, they are dead. That's it. He said, well, you could shoot them like on the side. Here's my question. Why are you messed up in the head? He was like, you could shoot them on the side. Why are you trying to pick safe areas to shoot somebody in the head? Just think about that. Because that means you messed up in the head. If you're trying to figure out how to finagle shooting somebody in the head with a gun would be safe. You're messed up in the head. You're going to have to deal with that. And you can deny it all you want, but you messed up. Now, if you're doing it for a joke, fine. I get that. That's fine. But if you're serious, then you need some serious help. Donald Trump could not justify equating a rock thrown to a bullet fired. He couldn't. And he tried. And he failed. I'm going to get out of here. And I'm going to leave you with the part where he just could not justify. I might even have to play it twice. All right. So this is Cedric Kennedy for Comparative Reasoning. For those on Medium and those here on YouTube and those that be on Twitter, thank you for listening.
We will consider that a firearm.
Firearm, a weapon from which a shot is discharged by gunpowder, usually used of small arms. My bad. I was wrong. And yet, closer to it than Trump. You can give me that one, can't you?
Because there's not much difference when you get hit in the face with a rock, which, as you know, it was very violent a few days ago. Very, very violent. We will consider that a firearm. Because there's not much difference when you get hit in the face with a rock, which, as you know, it was very violent a few days ago. Very, very violent.